Lotus didn't come from a multinational food lab like many other foods. It came from a family kitchen in Limbekke, a village in East Flanders, Belgium. And that's what we want to show you today. The year was 1932. The Boon brothers were bakers, running a modest business. Belgium already had a tradition of spiced cookies, speculoos, tied to St. Nicholas Day celebrations. Those were dark, heavily spiced, and usually pressed into wooden molds. The Boon brothers wanted something different, lighter, more delicate. Something you could eat every day, not just once a year. Their experiments landed on a thin biscuit, caramelized at the edges, fragrant but not overwhelming. It was crunchy but not hard, sweet but balanced. Locals noticed. The cookie was perfect with a cup of coffee. It didn't need frosting or filling. The flavor was already complete. Lotus never shouts about its spice blend. You won't see big cinnamon sticks or clove buds plastered across the packaging. Yet every bite carries those notes, subtle, balanced, unmistakable. Once the sheet is ready, it meets the rotary cutter. As the dough passes underneath, the cutter does two things at once. The outer ring stamps the cookie outline, separating each piece. The inner emboss presses the lotus border and logo. It's branding, yes, but it's also function. That raised border acts like a frame, strengthening the cookie edges so they don't break in packs. What looks decorative is actually structural. Dough at this point is soft enough to take detail, but firm enough to hold it. Factories track dough temperature carefully for this reason. Too warm, and the emboss blurs. Too cold, and it cracks. Operators know immediately by looking at the logo if the line is running right. The belts themselves are designed for this stage. Dough travels on a smooth belt, but just before cutting, anti-stick treatments prevent sticking. Some plants use flour dusters, others a fine mist of oil. Every measure is about efficiency. You don't want dough sticking to cutters or logos coming out faint. Even if a single cookie got stuck onto the cutters, the entire batch will be a mess. Can you imagine? In warm seasons, dough sheets faster but softens too quickly. In winter, it stiffens and may crack. Factories control ambient climate with HVAC systems, keeping dough rooms within tight limits. That way the emboss looks identical in July and in January. Really? You didn't know that before? Let's talk numbers. A single rotary cutter can stamp out tens of thousands of cookies per hour. The line may run 24/7, producing millions per day. Every cookie has the same thickness, the same border, the same word pressed in the center. Well, that's more in order than my entire life. Cookies and crackers now meet the next stage. Not a small oven, not even a single chamber. These are giants, steel tunnels stretching 60 to 100 meters, wide enough to carry rows of cookies by the thousands. The belt is usually a wire mesh, open enough to let hot air flow through, but sturdy enough to keep cookies aligned. Once the dough enters, it will travel for 5 to 8 minutes, passing through carefully controlled zones of heat. The cookies are cool, golden, crisp, stable. Now comes the stage that decides if they survive the next 6 months of shipping, storage, and handling. All of this happens at astonishing speed. A single packaging line can wrap hundreds of packs per minute. That's how organized and well thought a good factory is. You can't underestimate their production. It is running at speeds far beyond our imagination.
Around the 2000s, some pretzel brands claimed to be all natural, but investigations exposed hidden trans fats from partially hydrogenated oils. But those companies bounced back, changed their ways, and now proudly show their process. Let's see how they do it today. Like every baked item, its preparations also begin with the dough and regular ingredients. But pretzel dough is drier and denser than regular bread dough. Most bread doughs contain about 60 to 65% water relative to the flour weight, but pretzel dough is closer to 50 to 55%. This lower hydration level makes the dough tougher, which helps pretzels hold their shape and develop that signature chewy bite. Once the dough has rested, it's time for one of the most recognizable parts of the pretzel making process, shaping. And while twisting a pretzel by hand might seem easy, imagine doing it with hundreds of thousands of pretzels a day. That's where the total automation comes in. Instead of relying on workers to twist every single pretzel by hand, those machines don't bother to take a break from this job. In fact, in the 1930s, skilled workers could twist 40 pretzels per minute. But today, factories use high-speed machines that make this look slow. You know, pretzel twisting machines weren't invented until 1933 by a man named Theodor von Chornig. Before that, every pretzel was handmade. So first, those metal rollers stretch the dough out into ropes. They apply just the right amount of pressure to create a smooth, even strand. Now each dough strand is lifted at both ends, then given a rapid spin and loop motion to create the classic pretzel shape. It's a blink and you miss it moment. This process happens in just a fraction of a second. Now, not all pretzels are twisted. If you've ever had pretzel nuggets or pretzel sticks, those are just the same dough cut into different shapes before baking. In fact, some factories produce more of these bite-sized versions because they're easier to package and don't break as easily in transit. When the pretzels are dipped into the highly alkaline liquid, it breaks down proteins on the surface of the dough. This lye gives pretzels their signature golden brown crust, slightly bitter, distinctive taste, which is why no other bread has quite the same flavor. After their quick bath, usually just 5 to 10 seconds, the pretzels emerge slightly sticky and glossy. Before heading into the oven, they need one final touch: a sprinkle of coarse salt. Now comes the moment of truth. After their quick dip in the alkaline bath, the pretzels head straight into an industrial oven. A massive machine that can stretch up to 100 feet, 30 meters long. The goal is to turn these soft, pale loops into golden brown, crispy perfection. You know those specialized ovens have multiple temperature zones, each set to a different heat level. The first few feet are actually cooler than the rest because blasting raw pretzel dough with high heat too soon would cause it to expand too quickly, ruining the shape. Instead, the pretzels need a gentle start before hitting the high temperatures. Now is the time when the heat activates the Maillard reaction, that scientific process triggered by the lye bath. This reaction is why pretzels turn that deep, glossy brown in just minutes, something that would take regular bread much longer. Unlike traditional twisted pretzels, these don't go through the whole stretching and twisting process. Instead, the dough is extruded through a metal die, kind of like how pasta gets into shape. The dough is pushed through a machine, and then a razor-sharp wire blade slices it cleanly into precise shapes. That's why they're called wire-cut pretzels. These unique pretzels are way more uniform than hand-twisted ones. Each piece is exactly the same size, which makes them perfect for packaging and snack mixes. There's something undeniably comforting about a perfectly baked cookie. And in Argentina, few treats are as beloved as terrapin pepas frutos del bosque. At first glance, pepas look simple: small, round, slightly domed cookies with a glossy jewel-like filling nestled in the center. But take one bite and you'll see why they have a devoted following. The dough is buttery, crumbly, and just the right amount of sweet, melting in your mouth with each bite. Now we are talking about a baked confectionery made of white sweet potato filling wrapped in a very thin dough. Well, the black grains on the surface are sesame seeds. But the sad part is, you can only find it in Tokyo. So you have to visit it in order to experience this treat. I must say, visit Tokyo in spring and double up your life-changing experience. Plum trees were cultivated about thousands of years ago in China. These trees traveled along the Silk Road and eventually reached the Mediterranean region. Over time, people experimented with these plums and discovered a snack which is loved by almost everyone today. Most people don't realize that plum trees have what farmers call their teenage years. For the first 4 to 6 years of life, these trees focus solely on growing, stretching their branches toward the sky without producing a single piece of fruit. When temperatures drop, these trees enter a period of dormancy, and the harsh winter triggers the production of natural compounds that will later influence the sweetness of the fruit. Every winter, those hard workers climb through the branches, making precise cuts that actually remove up to 20% of the tree's branches. By opening up the tree's canopy, sunlight can reach deeper into the branches that ultimately results in larger and sweeter plums. Through years of strategic pruning and care, farmers can finally see their efforts becoming fruitful. Throughout the year, farmers wage a careful battle against nature's challenges. In winter, when fog blankets the valley, they need to monitor soil moisture, while spring brings the threat of late frosts, requiring sophisticated temperature monitoring systems that can trigger warming fans at a moment's notice. By summer, their focus shifts to precisely controlling irrigation, ensuring each tree gets exactly what it needs to produce the sweetest fruit possible. In August, farmers face a critical decision that can make or break their entire year's work. Along with the modern testing equipment, and based on their ancient knowledge, they monitor if it bears the age-old signs, the deepening purple of the skin, and their natural fall from trees. They know it's time. When harvest day arrives, the orchard comes alive before dawn. Gone are the days of monkey harvesting, and modern harvesting machines approach each tree with surprising grace. These machines grip the trunk and deliver a precise shake that causes ripe plums to rain down onto catching frames below. It's a far cry from the hand-picking methods of the past, but this efficiency is crucial. The entire harvest must be completed within just 2 to 3 weeks while the fruit is at its peak. But the journey is far from over. These freshly harvested plums make their first stop at cleaning stations right in the orchard, where advanced sorting systems use jets of air to separate leaves, twigs, and damaged fruit. The good plums continue their march to the storage bins while the harvesters look for the rest of the harvested batch. What makes this moment so crucial is that these fresh plums have spent months developing the perfect balance of sugars, acids, and other compounds. As one veteran farmer puts it, we're not just harvesting fruit, we're harvesting concentrated sunshine. This natural sweetness is about to become even more intense through the drying process. But in order to see that, you need to stay with us for a little more, and you will witness the best transformation under process. Plums have been around for thousands of years, growing in different parts of the world, but fresh plums don't last long. They spoil quickly, and that's a problem if you're a farmer or trader trying to sell them across long distances. Before refrigeration, people had to get creative. Drying fruits was the best way to keep them from rotting. Yes, these fresh plums are cleaned and sorted out first to be packed right away in the jars, so anyone who craves fresh fruit consumption can grab those bottles. Hey, we would really appreciate it if you click on the like button and share this video with your friends. It's just some little gestures, you know. Traditional sun drying, still practiced in some regions, spreads millions of plums across vast drying grounds where they bask in natural sunlight for up to 2 weeks. These sun-dried prunes develop a slightly different flavor profile than their tunnel-dried counterparts, carrying subtle notes of caramel. As moisture leaves the fruit, each plum shrinks to about 1/3 of its original size. But not all prunes shrink equally. The largest ones, known as extra large or jumbo, command premium prices in the market. If you wonder why they need to do this trivial step again and again, trust me, it's for our own good. Otherwise, we might be the first one to question their ways. Also, the sun-dried plums have more chances to get the dirt from open areas than the mechanical dried ones. So washing them thoroughly makes sure of the removal of those contaminants. This is exactly how they're going to put those thousands of tons of dried plums back in the game. Once the drying process is complete, they're carefully rehydrated in steam chambers, bringing their moisture content back up to 30%. This step transforms them to the final stage, the chewy prunes we know. What many don't realize is that this transformation is more than just drying. It's a carefully managed metamorphosis that concentrates not just flavors, but also nutrients. The drying process actually increases the concentration of antioxidants and other beneficial compounds, making prunes more nutritionally dense than their fresh counterparts. This delicate balance between traditional methods and modern innovation has been refined over generations. Quality control in such facilities combines high-tech precision with age-old wisdom. Lasers scan each prune for imperfections, while seasoned inspectors rely on their trained eyes to catch what machines might miss. Any prunes showing signs of fermentation, known as end rot, are immediately removed. Today, these prunes travel to more than 70 different countries worldwide. From Japanese convenience stores to European breakfast tables, these transformed plums have become a global success story. Modern consumers now recognize prunes for what they've always been: a naturally sweet treat. In 2015, a viral video claimed to show the truth about McDonald's hotcakes, suggesting they arrived frozen and were simply microwaved. The internet erupted with outrage until McDonald's responded with unprecedented transparency. In order to know the real process, you've to come with me and realize the truth by yourself. I won't be passing any judgments. McDonald's hotcakes might seem simple, but if you've tasted them, you must know they're not ordinary hotcakes. McDonald's suppliers operate in massive production facilities where the batter is mixed in industrial-sized tanks, each capable of holding hundreds of gallons at once. Before the batter even touches the griddle, like any normal process, they need to oil the plates. That's why most suppliers rely on mechanical oiling. The batter dispensers are designed to release the exact amount of batter onto the griddle every time, no more, no less. The dispensers work in perfect synchronization with the conveyor belt system. As the griddle moves, nozzles release a controlled stream of batter in rapid succession. Each pancake lands in precisely the same spot, forming that signature round shape. Within seconds of hitting the griddle, the batter starts to set, forming that perfect golden brown surface. In a home kitchen, you wait for bubbles to form, then carefully slide a spatula underneath, hoping for a clean flip. But in a large-scale facility producing thousands of hotcakes an hour, that method would be way too slow and inconsistent. Instead, McDonald's suppliers use specially designed flipping mechanisms that work in perfect rhythm with the conveyor belt system. These pneumatic flipping mechanisms simultaneously lift and turn dozens of hotcakes in a synchronized motion, revealing perfectly golden brown undersides. Wait for that delicious part. While the classic hotcake is already a favorite, what if McDonald's experimented with filled varieties? And if the process is usually this much mesmerizing, I think we must go on to see how it would have been. Several high-speed machines work together to assemble the sandwiches with precision. The hotcakes move down a conveyor belt, where they reach a filling station. Some lines add the sweet jams, while others handle special chocolate syrups. The fillings themselves come from separate production lines, where they are cooked, portioned, and held at the perfect temperature before assembly. This prevents messy sandwiches where fillings hang off the edges or get squished unevenly. As for McDonald's perfectly shaped hotcakes, no complaints there. Their burger meals, though? Well, that's a whole different story. Bagel lovers come in the line. Unlike traditional bagels, these buns aren't boiled. Instead, they pass through a steam chamber that gelatinizes starches on the surface, creating the distinctive chew while maintaining a tender interior. And the baking process uses zone-controlled ovens, where the temperature profile changes as the products move through, ensuring even cooking despite the challenging ring shape. This bun production process is no less impressive than specialty items. They literally ask for the flour milled to specifications that few other companies can demand. Consistent protein content within 0.2% and specific amylase enzyme levels that affect browning. The dough temperature is monitored by infrared sensors, with glycol-cooled jackets surrounding the mixers to remove heat generated by the mechanical action of mixing. In its entire procedure, you won't find any manual labor. Instead, it's all carefully controlled by the modern machines. Soft, golden, and impossible to resist, buns are everywhere. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they've secured their place on tables worldwide. Research shows, just in the US, billions of burger buns are eaten every year. McDonald's alone sells around 75 burgers per second. That's millions of buns devoured daily, just from one chain. And that's not even counting hot dog buns, dinner rolls, or the sweet buttery versions enjoyed with coffee. The McMuffin is often seen as one of McDonald's healthier options, but some argue that it's still packed with sodium and processed ingredients. Yet, none of this has slowed down its popularity. Well, their healthier option doesn't mean you should rely on that. Do your research, and please be aware of your foods.